good day and happy Halloween. It's October 31st. That means it's time for another reading recap, Goodreads update, and to be read video. So, if you want to hear all about the books that I've read this month, what I'm going to read next month, and how I'm doing on my 2020 reading challenge, stay tuned. That is coming right up. Alright, so let's start with my reading challenge. I set a goal for myself to read 60 books this year. I'm at 59, and it's the end of October. I would say there's a pretty good chance that I'm going to meet this goal, which is just awesome. I honestly thought 60 was going to be a challenge for me, but I guess I underestimated my abilities, just how much I could actually get read this year. So that is really, really awesome. I'm so close to hitting my goal and even exceeding it. I think I'm going to have to up it this year. And I would attribute that a lot to the fact that I'm rereading some books on Audible. So I'm actually reading more books this year than I previously thought that I would be. So definitely I am going to give credit to that. So I think I might up my challenge next year to say 75 books, but I'm not going to touch it this year. 59 of 60 books, doing really well. Really look forward to seeing how many I just actually end up finishing by the end of the year. But yeah, it's going awesome. So happy that I've hit that goal, and honestly, it was a lot easier than I thought it would be. I mean, 60 books here, it's a little more than one book per week. Usually I set an average of about a book a week, taking into account some big stuff coming. Big thick books that I tend to read at times, and some more heavy material, but definitely really happy to see that. And yes, you probably noticed I got painted nails, courtesy of my daughter. They're actually kind of pretty, don't you think? Anyway, so as far as my reading challenge goes, that's where we're sitting. So, moving on from that, in terms of what did I get to reading this month? Well, first off, the first book I read was actually sent to me by a viewer. It was a gift, and I'm really, really happy and so grateful for that. And it was a book that I'd heard about that was definitely on my wish list, and one that I was looking forward to eventually getting. As to when I got it, I didn't know when I was going to get it, but then a viewer so kindly and generously offered to buy me this book and send it to me. And it's Joseph Campbell's The Hero with 1,000 Faces. This is a fantastic analysis of the monomyth that we find that pervades our culture and where our stories come from. Now, originally I gave this book a 3 out of 5 star review on Goodreads, but looking back on it, I realized that it really deserves a much higher review rating. I bumped that up to 4 stars. The Hero with 1,000 Faces. This is the first book that I read in the month of October. Just great, really great book, especially if you want to get into the ideas of the monomyth, where we came from as far as our stories go, and how that has influenced our culture and societies across the globe. Really, really good, enjoyable read. I really like this one. Definitely highly recommend Joseph Campbell, The Hero with 1,000 Faces. Next up is The Fires of Heaven by Robert Jordan. So this is the 5th book in the Wheel of Time epic fantasy series. This is one of those books that I'm rereading on Audible. I'm actually reading along in the book with the Audible audio book, and that's kind of really fun. It's kind of makes it more interesting listening to the narration as I read along with the book, and I'm really enjoying that. This is probably my 3rd time through the Wheel of Time series. Absolutely loving it. I'm really, really looking forward to the Amazon Prime series coming out next year. Definitely I intend to finish my reread of the Wheel of Time before the Prime series, and then once I'm done rereading the Wheel of Time, I'll be getting on to the new spring, the prequel, Wheel of Time prequel. So, or I guess it's not a prequel. Yeah, I guess it'd be a prequel. I don't know what I'm saying, just there. Anyway, Fires of Heaven, Robert Jordan, book 5 in the Wheel of Time. This is another one that I finished in the month of October. I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, which is still good, but it was a little bit slower than Shadow Rising. So not a 4 star, but still 3 is still pretty good, it's definitely more than halfway to being awesome. So yeah, Fires of Heaven was one of my reads for the month of October. Now, the next two I gave a 4 out of 5 star review on Goodreads. These ones are young adult fantasy series that are just fun, action-packed, generally entertaining, quirky, comic relief all throughout them, and overall just the typical of what you would expect from the storyteller of the gods, Rick Riordan. So the first one was The Trials of Apollo, Book 3, The Burning Maze. So this one definitely was an enjoyable read, well worthwhile, and just in general a fun, entertaining read that I really enjoyed. The whole Trials of Apollo series I'm really super enjoying all around. Good, fun read. And of course the second one, or not the second one, the second Trials of Apollo book I read this month, but the fourth one overall in the series is The Tyrants Tomb, book 4 of the Trials of Apollo. The Tower of Nero is the 5th book. I do have it. I will get to it eventually. It is on my to-be-read list, but it'll probably be a bit before I actually move on to book 5 for the Trials of Apollo. So, Trials of Apollo, good entertainment, especially if you like that young adult fantasy that isn't too serious, but still entertaining, fun, has some seriousness, but also has some comic relief mixed in with there. I really enjoy that style when it comes to the young adult genre. These ones, definitely good, worthwhile, especially if you like that type of book overall. So those are some fun, getting tongue-tied again. Maybe it's too early for this. Anyway, I enjoyed those ones in the month of October. As always, of course, I will try to remember to link the reviews for each of these books in the description below. But if not, you can always just check out my channel because they're all there. And the last one that I read in the month of October, I started Larry Niven's Ringworld series, also known as the Known Space series. So this is the award-winning legendary classic. I really didn't think that it was a fantastic book. I didn't think it was horrible. This one I gave 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Definitely check out my review on that. So this one is supposed to be like one of the best sci-fi written. I disagree with that assessment. Personally, it's not the worst I've read, but by far I wouldn't say that it's one of the best either. Overall, though, it's okay. It's a decent book. It's not terrible. But anyway, Larry Niven's Ringworld, that is one of my reads for October. So that just kind of summarizes what I read in the month of October. So yeah, I mean, definitely check out my reviews on each one of these books, which you could find, again, in the description below. But if you don't see it there, you know, I don't know if I'm going to get the links updated right away necessarily. So if you don't see it there, just check out my channel and the playlists under science fiction, fantasy, nonfiction, all that good stuff. Now, as for what I am currently reading, I'm currently reading The Ringworld Engineers, which is the direct sequel to Ringworld. So you can definitely expect a review on this to be posted sometime in the month of November, probably early November, within the next week, I would imagine. So that is one of the ones I am currently reading, Ringworld Engineers. You can follow me on Goodreads, of course, to track my progress as I read through these books. And then the other one that I'm currently reading, again, I hope to get a review on this one up in November as well. I'm continuing my Wheel of Time reread with Lord of Chaos. I did start this one near the beginning of October, I believe. So yeah, I would have started this October, sometime in October, don't remember when. But anyway, I'm kind of 2/3 through, give or take. These are big books and they do take me a while. I tend not to spend quite as much time on the rereads as I do the books I haven't read yet. So these ones do take a little bit longer and they are big, thick books, like 900,000 pages. But anyway, Lord of Chaos, this is one of the ones I am currently reading. So definitely check that out. And stay tuned for my review on Lord of Chaos. It should be up before the end of November, I would expect. Now, what we need to do is move on to what can you expect from me and my reviews for the month of November. First of all, let's talk a little bit about my most anticipated book release of the year as we get into November. This book I've been waiting for a long time. BookTube has been exploding about it, and if you don't already know, let me tell you, I am eagerly anticipating the arrival of my copy of Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. Now, BookTube has been going crazy about this book. It is a massively anticipated release, and you could bet I am highly anticipated. I actually pre-ordered this book back in May. I've been so excited about this. BookTube's been going nuts about it. Brandon Sanderson has been releasing chapters weekly on his website, and I believe an Audible version on his YouTube channel. I've not listened to, nor have I read any of the pre-release chapters. I need to read it all at once, and reading it week by week would just drive me up the wall and nuts. I have not done that. I tell you right now, this is a big book, 1,200 plus pages from my understanding, which is pretty normal for the Stormlight Archive, honestly. I'm eagerly anticipating the arrival of my copy of Rhythm of War. It's going to be awesome. I really doubt that I'm actually going to get to finishing reading Rhythm of War in November. My Indigo order says it should be here by November 24th. So you probably won't get to see a review on that from me until probably near the end of December. Like, it will take a while for me to read it at the earliest, but definitely a hugely anticipated read. I expect I will at least start it sometime in November. Now, these next 5 books I anticipate getting to sometime in November. Now, it is of course important to note, I do read about 4 to 5 books a month, but there's no guarantee I will actually get to each one of these in the month of November. They're just kind of the next 5 on my list, which hopefully I will get to and complete with reviews in November. So here is what you could look forward to as far as upcoming video reviews in the month of November. So, keeping up with the tradition I am trying to start of reading at least one non-fiction book each and every month, I'm going to be reading Max Planck, Niels Bohr, Quantum Theory. Now, this was one of those books I picked up kind of the bargain bin when I happened to be at the bookstore one day. Saw it and thought, hey, I like quantum theory, I like quantum physics, I find it to be a very fascinating subject. I think this would be a good read for me. Now, that being said, I get the feeling I probably won't understand most of this. I don't care. I like quantum physics. I love learning about it. I find it to be a very fascinating subject. It's interesting, it's weird, it contradicts itself half the time. It's just a really weird science in that sense. So I've already read a lot of quantum physics stuff, so this will be an interesting read, I'm sure. I'm going to be reading that in the month of November. Hopefully I understand what I'm reading, but if I don't, that's okay too. Who knows, we'll see. So anyway, we got that coming up as far as my non-fiction choice for the month of November. Now, moving on from there, we've got the Ringworld Throne, as well as Ringworld's Children. So we'll be finishing up the Ringworld series for Larry Niven's Ringworld. As you know, I started the series. I hate not finishing a series, whether I loved it or hated it. I gotta finish it. So there you go. I will be reading these 2 books in November, right after I finish up Ringworld Engineers, of course, which is one of the ones, as you saw, I am currently reading. So yeah, I mean, so far I'd have to say the Ringworld Engineers is, at least I'm feeling at this moment, better than the first Ringworld book. So hopefully the series continues to get better. And yeah, I'm looking forward and anticipating reading these 2 here, Ringworld Throne and Ringworld's Children. So that should be an interesting read coming up in the month of November. Next up on my list is the second one in this new series by Brandon Sanderson, the sequel to Skyward. So this one is Starsight. This one's been sitting on my shelf for a while. Really looking forward to get this. I certainly enjoyed Skyward, and this one should be a good, interesting read as well. We'll of course have to see if Rhythm of War bumps any of these off the list and down the line, because I just don't think I'm going to be able to put Rhythm of War to the back of the line, let's be honest. Once it's here, that's going to be the first book that I'm reading whenever I finish whatever book I happen to be on then. But anyway, yeah, Skyward. Also one of the next 5 on my list. Hopefully with any luck I can get to this in the month of November. So that'll be a good one. If you haven't read Skyward, definitely check it out. Starsight is the second book. This is the one I'm looking forward to. Did I say Skyward earlier that I'm going to read this month? Probably. Ignore that statement. I really meant Starsight. Starsight is one of the ones I expect I may be able to get to in the month of November. So yeah, definitely stay tuned for the review on that. And then the next up is getting back to some Jim Butcher and the Dresden Files. Ghost Story is my next Dresden Files read. This is going to be a good one. I know Peace Talks and whatnot is out now as well, and there's been a lot of talk on BookTube about that. I'm not quite there yet in the series, but you could bet those ones are on my wish list to get. Yeah, and Ghost Story, that is the up next as far as Dresden Files goes, so we'll be getting back a bit into the whole Dresden Files scene. Looking forward to that in the month of November, hopefully. But again, I'm just going to be honest with you, Rhythm of War is probably going to knock some of these off and push them down the line, because there's no way I'm waiting for that. Anywho, that is what we have going on here for my upcoming reads in November, what I read in October, what I'm currently reading now, and how I'm doing on my Goodreads challenge for the year. So there you have it. That's what's been going on this month. You know, let me know what you've read of these books. Have you read any of them? Do you want to read any of them? You know, let me know what's going on. What are you reading right now? I'd love to hear from you. As always, down in the comments, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time on the next episode of Drew's Book Reviews. Until then, keep on reading. Bye!